What's going on YouTube? Hey guys, this is Ben and this is the channel where we talk about entrepreneurship, business, startup, investing, pretty much everything in between. And if you like those topics, you should definitely hit the subscribe button right now. So this video is going to be all about the top 10 misconceptions about entrepreneurship. And I figured I'd give you guys this list because some of you might be falling into these pitfalls and some of you might be thinking this way, which is totally wrong, and you need to correct course right away so you're not in that mindset, and it's really, really important. So the first one on the list is entrepreneurship is a way to get rich quick or get rich overnight. Now, this is absolutely false. This does not happen. Entrepreneurship is a way to get rich over time, and eventually if you do things right, you'll get rich exponentially, such as if you built and sold a very, very successful company, you'll get mega rich or something like that. So it's definitely not get rich overnight or get rich quick at all. So do not think that whatsoever, no matter who tells you what. The second thing is entrepreneurship is a full-time job. So the theory behind this is that if you're to become an entrepreneur, you either choose between your 9-to-5 or your entrepreneurship venture, right? You don't have to choose. You can actually morph the two together. This is actually the same thing that I did. I started my recruiting agency while I was at my 9-to-5 and actually built and launched the entire thing to success, to profitability, and then left my 9-to-5. So the idea is entrepreneurship is not a full-time job. Entrepreneurship fits in. So you do it at night after your 9-to-5, or you do it on the weekend. You do it where it fits in well and you make it work, right? So entrepreneurship definitely takes sacrifice, and you might have to spend your evenings, not hanging out with your significant other for a little bit, or not playing Fortnite, right? And working on your business and sending out emails and doing all sorts of stuff like setting up a website or whatever it might be, right? Entrepreneurship just fits in where it fits in. The third thing on the list, which is really kind of hilarious, is that you need some sort of degree, or you need to have gone to business school or gotten an MBA or something like that to be an entrepreneur. This is actually quite hilarious considering famous entrepreneurs like Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg have literally dropped out of college and then gone off to build wildly successful companies and are extremely rich at this point. So you absolutely do not need a degree to become an entrepreneur. And we could do an entire video about college as it relates to entrepreneurship and the skills you learn and the applicability. But anyways, let's move on. The next thing on the list would be that you need capital, or you need some form of large wealth to be an entrepreneur or to start a business. This is definitely not true. And this is actually kind of funny because, number one, it's never been further from the truth that right now in 2019, where we sit currently, you have never been at a place where it's more easy to start a business with literally no money at all, except for an internet connection and a computer. Secondly, it's also never been easier to raise capital in the current state where we're at right now. So those two things together should be enough to shut that one up. You absolutely do not need this huge sum of money to become an entrepreneur or, to start a business of sorts. So let's just button that one down. The next thing is that you have, some sort of instantly unyielding freedom that is just wildly, like, you can head off to Ibiza or something, or you can just travel the world and you're instantly gonna have all this time on your hands and it's gonna be crazy. Definitely not true, right? Now, you will get some freedom, okay? When you quit your 9-to-5, you're gonna get some freedom for sure, right? So you're gonna be able to set your own time schedule, you're gonna be able to work on your own time schedule, and you're gonna be able to do things that you might not have been able to do before because you had to actually be at your 9-to-5, in a desk, sitting there. But here's the deal. Being an entrepreneur means that you're the sole person or one of the sole people responsible for building an actual business. That business has to be profitable for you to make money to actually replace your 9-to-5 or whatever else you were doing. And that's the whole point, right? So if you're not actually doing work, you're not making any money. which negates the entire purpose of entrepreneurship, which means you should just go back to your 9 to 5. So in essence, you are going to get a bunch of time that could be free, but you have to spend that time working. You need to get back to work, right? So you leave your 9 to 5, but you pretty much head to your home office or your workspace or whatever, and you start working. So a lot of people like to say, not to be scary or anything, that when you leave a 9 to 5, you end up working a 24/7. Sometimes it's kind of true. Don't let that scare you at all, but inevitably you will need to be working. So you will get a ton of time on your hands, but you're also going to need to be working for sure, because you need to keep this business profitable. And if you're going to be a good, lucrative entrepreneur, you're definitely going to be wanting to work. And usually is the case that when you become an entrepreneur and you start doing something that's for you, it creates this craving that you actually do want to work. So it's going to be a lot better than your 9 to 5. Trust me on that one. So the next one on the list is that entrepreneurs are just born that way, or, Elon Musk, he just had that when he was born, or, Mark Cuban, whatever, right? That's not the case at all, right? So if you go Google, I don't know, whoever, Walt Disney or whoever it might be, right? You can see all these entrepreneurs that have started businesses and their companies entirely at age 32, 35, 45, 55, 60, whatever it might be. They literally started the company, started being an entrepreneur at that age, and they were wildly successful. And that definitely shows they weren't born to be an entrepreneur. I mean, you could say they were born to be an entrepreneur, but here's the deal. Most people discover an idea, a concept, something they're good at, something that they can be passionate about and follow through with, and something that's profitable for them. And then they pursue it, and boom, they're an entrepreneur. That can happen at 30, 32. It can happen at 19. It can happen at 60. It doesn't matter. Some people are just born that way. Some people are just born and then they become entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter. It's a total fallacy. It's just a ridiculous concept that some people think in their heads, and it changes their whole mindset when they think about the way they are and whether they're meant to be an entrepreneur or not. The next thing is, all you need is an idea. This is absurd and ridiculous. I could come up with ideas by the thousands every single day, but they would never get finished if I didn't execute, okay? Execution is king, and if you're just coming up with ideas, you're not an entrepreneur. So a huge fallacy and misconception about entrepreneurship is that it's all about an idea. Like you have to be an idea man, right? That's not what it is. You have to be an execution person. That's what it's all about, not about ideas. Get an idea, then execute, then you're a real entrepreneur. The next thing is that you have to be young to be an entrepreneur, right? And people get this from, the concept of Mark Zuckerberg or, everyone in Silicon Valley and all that kind of stuff, where there's these 21-year-old coders creating these crazy sites, like whatever it is, Airbnb, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. That's just not true, right? Let's say your grandpa cashed out his IRA at age 65 and it was worth $2 million, $3 million. And he, boom, just jumped right into the house flipping game or the real estate investment game. Your grandpa's an entrepreneur. He's 65 years old and boom, he's making more money than everybody you ever know. So that's the deal. You do not have to be young. There's no age limit on entrepreneurship, okay? So understand that. The next thing is that entrepreneurship is high risk. Don't do it. This also couldn't be further from the truth. To be honest with you, the actual truth is that your 9 to 5 job is more of a risk than entrepreneurship. Betting on yourself is less of a risk than your actual job. And I'll let you think about that one for a while because that's a little bit deep. But once I realized that entrepreneurship was super, super easy because jobs are a dime a dozen. 9 to 5 jobs are out there everywhere. And entrepreneurship is not. Entrepreneurship is something that is individual and you create and you have all these options in front of you and you're in control of it, right? Your 9 to 5, your boss is in control of it and they could fire you like that. And it's just in an instant you're gone. So that's way more risky than actually having an entrepreneurship concept that you're working towards, maybe while you're working your 9 to 5, or maybe you left your 9 to 5, right? But the deal is you can always go back to the 9 to 5. And a lot of people don't realize that. People just think if I leave my 9 to 5, I leave my 9 to 5. Well, that's just not true because you can always go back to 9 to 5s. They're begging out there for people in the 9 to 5. I'm in the recruiting business. Unemployment is at a historic low, okay? They're begging for people to run back to their 9 to 5s, whatever their boring office jobs are. They want you there. Trust me, you can always get one. So the last one would be is that entrepreneurship means guaranteed success. As soon as you become an entrepreneur, you're guaranteed success. Like, wow, I started a website. I'm going to be a billionaire in like a year. Not true at all. You're actually more guaranteed to fail, okay? And understand that, get that through your head, like you probably will fail. You're way more likely to fail than succeed. And that's perfectly fine. It's actually a good thing because what you need to do is learn how to fail properly. The way you fail is you fail fast and you fail forward. So it's Amazon's concept. They say move fast and break things, right? And the idea is that when you do that stuff, rapid fire, you learn so much about yourself and what you're doing and about your entrepreneurial venture that eventually you become so successful from having learned all these failures and things that don't work that you figure out what does work and then you hone in on that and then you scale that. So the idea that you're going to have absolute success is a total fallacy. You're probably going to have failure. You're probably going to have a bunch of stutter starts, right? Where you kind of have it, kind of don't, kind of have it, kind of don't. But eventually, once you grasp that success, then you figure out what worked, you rinse and repeat, and you just keep going and you scale your business and you're super successful. So the last thing I want to tell you guys to do is to smash that like button if you caught any value in this video, and definitely hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber yet. I will catch you guys tomorrow on Monday. Super ready to crush Monday, and I hope you guys are too. I will catch you then. Take care.